What up? A quickie in the Earlverse. I'm about to take yoga in about 40 minutes. So I thought I would check in before yoga. Because after yoga, I'm usually too tired. So we'll see how this goes. We can talk the NFL draft, which is, I believe, just starting. We can talk about the incredibly low rating of AEW Dynamite, and I thought it was a good show. I think they had about 693,000, which was down 100,000 from last week, which was down about 75,000 from the previous week. So I don't know what more AEW can do at this point. You've got to figure out a way to get some more eyes on the product, and they've pretty much had all their heavy hitters on the show last night. You had the Young Bucks. Yes, what up, Elite? You had, Okada, the return of Jack Perry, Will Ospreay, Jay White. So I don't know what's going on in AEW. So we better line up some other topics. The NFL draft. As you know, ACDC 5150, I am a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. So we are drafting at number 20. Let me get the clicker and let's switch over to the draft. Wearing my Will Ospreay Bruv shirt. I apologize. Yeah, AEW is definitely in trouble. I mean, there's not much more they can do. There's really no one more they can bring in. I mean, you brought in the last three, and Mercedes Moné was on the show last night. So you better come up with some good storylines, which I think they have, actually. I love the Jack Perry storyline, but right now it ain't happening. You got to get Mercedes Moné in the ring. She's just not good in promos, or it's just not. A quickie means about 35 minutes. Now, I know they say your numbers are pretty poor in general when you just do a 30-minute stream, but at this current moment, it's all I have time for because I got some business tonight, but I didn't want to miss a day. So, but I do find that this is a pretty good time for me to go on at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I don't believe anyone in the Dabble is streaming at the moment, but I also don't know. So it's all good. No spots this week at the Comedy Store for you local yokels. Yeah, but I mean, Willow makes sense in terms of the actual storyline, because I was at the match they had in Long Beach about a year ago, I think, when she broke her ankle. I don't know who was scheduled to win that match, but Willow won it. But how many people remember that? I mean, you got to be a real hardcore, mark to remember who won the Willow Nightingale Mercedes match from a year ago in Long Beach. The booker at the Comedy Store, I don't want to say her name on a stream because then a lot of people bug her, but she took over for Adam, and she's doing a very good job. It's not an easy job. Uh, yeah, who is Mercedes gonna I mean, you'd have to bring in another sadly, you'd have to bring in a WWE person, Ronda Rousey, I think, you would be about the only thing that could get mainstream eyes on AEW. No, no, I don't want anyone messaging the booker of the Comedy Store. Thank you very much. Uh, that's not gonna help, if you know what I'm saying. Um, there are ways you can help Earl Skakel out. That's not one of them. It's like the people who tweeted Joe Rogan, "Hey, put Earl on the podcast." That's not gonna help. You think it would, but, Joe, the booker of the Comedy Store, they don't wanna be told what to do. And not that you guys are telling them, but, it just makes it seem when stuff like that happens that it's under my orders. Of course, I can't control what you guys do. Uh, yes, I mean, I might come on after yoga, if certain shows don't happen. I don't believe the draft has started yet. Damn, they really stretched this shit out. Now, the Steelers are rumored to be trading for that San Francisco 49ers receiver. So if they do make that trade, they won't have a first round pick. So, I mean, I don't think Tony Khan is very good on camera. Hit the like button if you can. That's one way you can help out Earl. He just seems uncomfortable in front of a camera. Um, you know, it just, um, he's like Cindy Brady in that one episode where she stares into the camera. Okay, if you guys want to help Earl out, why don't we do this? Elite, are you ready to take a screenshot? You let me know when you are, and I'll stand up. Uh, well, I mean, I've heard rumors about Tony Khan. Good evening, Chris Mack. King Game was awesome last night. I mean, the great Slovenian Anže Kopitar. Uh, I don't listen to other people's podcasts, so um, I have not listened to Paulie's podcast or anyone else's for that matter. I mean, Paulie would probably do well with a sidekick. I like Paulie. He's always nice to me. Always trying to help me out with road work and stuff. Hey, Earl, why don't you call this club? Tell him I sent you. All right, here comes Paul Roger Goodell. He's already getting booed by the Maniacs. Man, that is a rough looking fan base. I like Paulie, to be honest with you. All right, who's coming out to some guy in a beard? Is that CM Punk? That would be pretty funny. I think it's funny if the Jaguars pick and Tony Khan makes the selection and Jack Perry comes out and beats the shit out of him. That would get some eyes on the product. Trust me on that one. Uh, well, Daniel, it's his podcast. You know what I'm saying? Well, Dr. Nova, everyone has an opinion. Good evening, J-Man Jack, the gentleman, J-Man Jack. Uh, Pat McAfee. I don't watch Pat McAfee's show, but I'm not against them. I don't want to hear someone ask a question and then it's in my head to ask my next guest that same question or something around that. Man, those Lions fans, they look a little rough already. It's only 7 p.m. Uh, wow, who's this guy? This guy definitely has wrestling vibes. I don't know who has the first pick. I'm assuming. Oh, wait, the Commanders do, right? Um, or is it no? I mean, aren't there's Barry Sanders? Fuck yeah. I respect Barry Sanders. He could have kept that rushing record forever if he would have stayed in the game. He's like, fuck it, I'm not having fun. Uh, Well, yeah, I mean, everyone Paulie's like, he's had a very long, successful career. I mean, 40 years, you know. It's like, people kinda make fun of Kiss, say Kiss sucks or whatever, but Kiss has been around for 50 fucking years, man. No band sucks and stays around for 50 years. Um, and I have a feeling they're not done, if you know what I'm saying. So, but in terms of Paulie's podcast, I would think that I thought that was Ryan Gosling and Jared Goff. I'm happy for Goff. He got done dirty by the Rams. So I don't know a lot about college football, so that's why I'm not doing like uh that's Eminem. That's not Eminem. That's Jared Goff. Oh, that's Eminem with the beard. Oh, okay. I thought it was CM Punk. No, the big tall guy behind Barry Sanders' right shoulder. That's Jared Goff, man. But that might be Eminem with the beard, the first guy. I thought it was CM Punk for a hot second. And I'm assuming this gigantic black dude plays on the Pistons. I don't know who the giant white guy is. Yes, Marshall Mathers. I mean, listen, Paulie has had a great run. No, I was. The guy with the beard's Eminem. Good for him. He's had a nice career. It's funny you say Tommy Tedesco. I went to Notre Dame High in the 80s, and there was a kid who was very musically inclined named Damon Tedesco. He was in my grade. I'm wondering if Tommy was Damon's dad. But I mean, dude, when I used to date the girl from Motorhead, who I believe she still manages their affairs to some capacity. Um, I was really educated in the music business in terms of ghost musicians and uh, you know like Psycho Circus, the Kiss album. I thought that was really Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. Um, and it turns out the drummer, I believe, for most of, if not all of that album, except for one song, I think, was Kevin Valentine. Uh, oh, we have a Bears. Oh, okay. Oh, so the Bears might get uh, Williams. All right, Chicago's on the clock. Um, what helps to get that big tits? I don't have big tits, but I do get booked there. The vintage shower, I believe, still does work. And for about 5 years, there was the same bottle of Head and Shoulders in that shower. So I don't know. The ground outside the shower might be cleaner. Pew! Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Where are we really when shitty old bathroom tile is vintage because someone was too much of a cheapskate to update? Cold C, I can't disagree with you. Uh, but I mean, if you look at speaking of look at Caleb Williams just chilling. Kiss in the mid '80s, when Gene was off doing Miami Vice and Runaway, and I think Wanted Dead or Alive. Essentially, the bass player for Kiss on the studio albums was Jean Beauvoir from the Plasmatics. So, um, you know, I don't think a lot of Kiss fans want to hear stuff like that. And I believe Bruce Kulick played bass on a lot of the albums. Um, you know, I believe Eric Carr was the drummer on most of the Kiss albums that he was in the band with, although I believe on Eric Carr's first recorded Kiss album, The Elder, on the song the great studio session drummer Alan Schwartzberg was the drummer because I guess Eric Carr didn't understand what they wanted or something. So, uh, Kiss has been um, you might say, proponent or abuser of studio musicians. I mean, Creatures of the Night, which was their album in '82 when Kiss in the States were not doing well. Uh, Ace had just left the band, but he was still on the album cover. And there are I don't even think I don't even think Kiss remembers who was on that album. I mean, Vinnie Vincent was on a few songs. I believe Steve Ferris from Mister Mister was on a song or two. Maybe Rick Derringer, uh, but and then other bands do it too. I mean, was it Hugh McDonald was the bass player on all the Bon Jovi albums, but because he looked like an accountant, uh, well, thank you, Boulder Johnny, for the super chats. I hope your wife didn't get mad at them. And thank you all for the super chats in the past and in the future and the gifted memberships. They are not um, forgotten or not appreciated. So, but Alec John Such is the bass player live for Bon Jovi, or he was. He's passed away, but he looked cool. I mean, if you look at the early Bon Jovi concerts and um, the album covers and the band photos, Alec John Such, he looked cool. Like he looked like a rock star. Well, I get if she did get upset, Boulder Johnny. I mean, I think a lot of people who don't YouTube or know what streams are probably see a statement for $2 or $5 or whatever and go, "What the fuck is this?" So I don't blame people who aren't in this streaming world for getting curious about certain statements on their credit card. um, Yeah, I mean, well, back then Iron Maiden probably didn't think they were gonna make it, so I'm sure they partied. Their payment wasn't money or pussy. Well, it probably was pussy, but and before they became multimillionaires, their payment was drinking. And so does Pauly perform at the Comedy Store whenever he wants? Yes, it's his club. He can bump anyone he wants. And I think he's funny, man. He's like Kiss in a way. Like, Kiss never gets credit for being good musicians or whatever. But Kiss has some really good musically structured songs. Uh, well, I don't think Iron Maiden really ever got high quality puss puss. Uh, in terms of looks, I think those guys were like, "Hey, a hole is a hole is a hole." Uh, I don't believe Peter and Paul really ever got along, but because Kiss really is a band that should have never have made it from the standpoint of Gene and Paul are very structured, anal retentive. Let's do this song in practice and let's work on the bridge here and the chorus there. And Ace and Peter probably walked in, bombed out of their minds, going, fuck it, let's just jam and figure it out. But for whatever reason, they had not even chemistry, but they just had the four of them in the early years were a very good band. I mean, if you look at, I would say if you listen to Kiss Alive, you can feel the energy, but Kiss Alive was about as alive as Bob Saget is right now. Well, it is his club. He has two brothers, Scotty and Peter, who, I don't know the hierarchy in terms of who makes the decisions, but, the club is still functional and operating at a very high level. I mean, it's the number one club in the world. I mean, you could say the mothership is now, but the mothership is like the Comedy Store Midwest or Mid Southwest. I mean, the name of the bar at the mothership is Mitzi's. So, the Comedy Store's influence on almost every comedy club in the country is there, from the names on the wall thing to the pictures on the club. Uh, yeah, I mean, Mitzi's booth is awesome. I mean, I've only done Austin twice. I played the Mothership the last time I was there. Congratulations to Caleb Williams, the number one pick of the draft. Um, that's a nice suit he's got on. I like the zip up look. Oh my God, that guy he just hugged was huge. What's up, Jose Bras? A female does Adam's job now at the Comedy Store. I did like the mothership. I liked how they locked the phones, and so the whole crowd is very into the comedy show. You know, there's no people on their Instagram or Twitter or taking selfies. I mean, as soon as you walk in, your phone's locked. So the crowd's much more engaged. So yes, Joe does pay well. So without the comedy store. Oh, 100%. I mean, and look at the people who started there. Jim Carrey, David Letterman, Jay Leno, Tom Dreesen. Look at who was nurtured there and grew into huge, not just comedy stars, but just stars. Sam Kinison, Dice Clay, Roseanne. I mean, are you performing at the mothership? I've performed at the mothership, but I hope to be back there. It's somewhat of a hard club to, you not only have to get the thumbs up from Adam, you have to get the thumbs up from Rogan, and he's picky, as he should be. It's his club. He's spending a lot of fucking money, and he's financing a lot of people's lives. So this is not me trying to kiss his ass. It's just a fucking reality. So I hope to be back sooner than later. Austin is a cool comedy scene. The Austin comics have been very nice to me. Not necessarily, because there's people who are, I guess you would say, regulars at the mothership who probably will never be passed at the comedy store, So, um, like there's comics who are, say, popular on Kill Tony that get spots at the mothership, but they will not be passed at the comedy store. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Nova, that's probably a little too deep for this stream, but I can't disagree with you. I would bet Argus would be welcomed at the mothership. I mean, I think Joe probably has a deep respect for him, but I can't speak for Joe. That I don't know how much Adam gets paid, but I'm sure it's online. If probably not a little more than what he was getting at the comedy store. He also hired Eric Anderson to help the day-to-day operations of the club. Carrie Mitchell is the bar manager, and Carrie was the life of the party of the store because she was the bar manager there. I believe he hired Curtis Nelson to manage the club, and there's a few of the waitresses went to Austin as well. So, it does have a very comedy store vibe. I mean, the whole time I was there, I felt like I was at the comedy store. And even the people who are not comedy store people, they act like they could be, So Joe has done an amazing job. I mean, it was a labor of love to get the mothership opened, and um, it's an awesome club. I don't have one thing I would change about it. The green room's great. I was in the big boy room. I haven't played the smaller room yet, which is basically their version of the original room. So you know, uh, it's really an awesome club. I mean, comedy in general is clicky. I mean, the improv is clicky in terms of who they book. I'm talking about in Los Angeles. The Laugh Factory has comics that would never be allowed on stage at the Comedy Store. I mean, never. But they run their club differently. If Brendan Schaub would have moved out to Austin, I don't know. Rogan's tough. He doesn't necessarily put all of his friends up. Um, so I don't. I can't speak for Joe, but I don't know if Schaub would get spots at the mothership. Uh, so, Joe's, the night I performed, he was in the green room watching. Now, I don't know if he turned the volume, because in the green room, you have two TVs, two big screen TVs in the green room. One's watching the big boy room, and the smaller rooms. So if Joe wants to, he can listen to your act. And I was fucking. I don't get very I get nervous before every time I'm on stage, but like, I'm like, Jesus, man, I hope this goes well. But I have no idea if he was actually listening. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really follow what. Uh, well, I mean, I don't blame Joe for the downfall of West Coast stand-up. I blame TikTok, Vine, Periscope for the downfall because you have a lot of people on those or I mean, Vine's not around anymore, and I don't know if Periscope is either. But TikTok and YouTube, if you get a viral video, you become an instant headliner. I was driving by the Laugh Factory the other night. Now, in full disclosure, I don't play that club very often. I haven't played there in probably 2 or 3 years. And on the marquee, I saw a TikTok star, and I'm friends with this person, so I don't want to gas her out because I think she means well, and she's actually a really nice person. But as a comic, she's horrible. I mean, she would not be allowed at the open mic at the Comedy Store, but she was at the Laugh Factory. So I blame the downfall of just comedy in general, of online videos. And if you look at Matt Rife, obviously he popped hard when a video of his went viral of him doing crowd work. So then you had every comic, and still have every comic, fucking putting out crowd work videos because they want to be the next Matt Rife. But the problem is you got to have a crowd to do crowd work videos. You can't be in front of 4 fucking people. uh oh yeah, I mean, I would say Paulie and Joe. um I don't know their actual relationship. So I mean, that sounds believable, Boulder Johnny. I don't know who Miranda Sings is. Well, I mean, I don't tell other comics what to talk about. So well, I mean, he did make Shaw popular on his podcast. Oh, she was a big YouTuber years ago. I don't really follow viral stars. I mean, I'm on TikTok. I don't even think I have 4,000 followers on it. I just, my jokes and sense of humor are conveyed in longer formats. So, you know, I don't really translate well on TikTok, certainly. And the problem is with putting videos up on YouTube is you have to have the crowd mic. I put up some clips of me at the Bourbon Room where I started watching them recently, and it sounds like it's dead silent. And I remember the set I had that night was actually a pretty good set. I wasn't killing by any stretch, but when you don't have the crowd mic, you just hear obviously the microphone the comic's speaking into. So it's not a great representation of that set. Whereas if you look at probably the best representation of my comedy is if you go on YouTube and you look up, let's see, Earl Skakel Shane Doan roast. That was for television. It was for the local NBC channel in Arizona. The crowd's mic, I'm mic'd. It's in like 8K, definition. So that's me at my best. So we're gonna go about 10 more minutes, kids. 10 more minutes. We'll go to the 40-minute mark. Uh, was roast battle in Montreal the most you've ever killed in terms of crowd reaction? I would say the Shane Doan roast. I had a better set. I would say, in terms of my roast battle TV appearances, I killed in the belly room against Jesse Joyce, which was the Road to Roast Battle episode. Um, I would say my battle with Tom Ballard was a very good overall battle, and I would say my last battle against K. Trevor Wilson, which I'm oddly more proud of than beating Jimmy Carr, because K. Trevor Wilson is a legend in Canada. So to beat him in Canada and beat him pretty convincingly, that's what I'm proudest of the most. Um, I would say, but in that battle I had with Jesse Joyce, it's kind of funny. Like he was their number one roast writer, and he probably still is. He's a great comic, great roaster, much better writer than I am. But I beat him. It was a Mike Tyson knockout. And if you watch that on television, if you weren't in the room and you watched it on television, it was a pretty close battle because they edited in laughs on some of his jokes. They just did. Because he didn't have one joke that hit against me. And some of my jokes, I don't know if they muted the laughter, but that night I killed. Even Dane Cook said, I feel like I'm watching two guys play a video game where one of their controllers is broken. So I found that interesting. But, so that's. But in terms of my best representation, absolutely was the Shane Doan roast on, I guess it was Channel 4. It's on YouTube all over the. I'm getting a text here. Um, in terms of like, I was killing from the first joke to the last joke, and even the one joke in the middle that I forget what joke didn't work. Well, I kept on calling Shane Doan the wrong name on purpose. I was like Sam Doan, Larry Doan, and then the third time I did it, it didn't. It kind of fell flat. But even then, I had to save. So that was my proudest moment. Even the owner of the comedy club recently, it was actually this week, Rick Bronson, um, who organized the Shane Doan roast. Even he messaged me, said, "Bro, I just watched the Shane Doan roast again, and man, you're funny." So that made me feel good because that roast was 2018, so 6 years ago, and it's still making a favorable impression. Um, so I think Mike Tyson's going to kill Jake Paul. But, I mean, if Jake Paul happens to land a fucking bomber, I don't know what a 58-year-old Mike Tyson's chin is. Well, I mean, it's funny because, I mean, Shane Doan got it. But I was on fire that night because I never really liked doing roast battle. I sold out, to be honest with you. I was like most of my 80s metal guys who, they all were like, or not all, but a lot of them were like classically trained musicians. And they just, they weren't making money playing fucking Bach or Beethoven. So, like C.C. DeVille is a classically trained guitar player, but, he dyes his hair blonde, starts playing fucking pink guitars, and now he's a multimillionaire touring 40 years later. I liked roasting myself. So to get to roast Shane Doan, one of my favorite hockey players, and George Laraque, one of my favorite hockey players, and then after in the crowd were like Darcy Hordichuk, who I was a big fight fan, and get to meet him was awesome. And I think Ray Whitney, who was like the head of player safety, was all he's like, "You're really funny, man." And so I started talking about him and his playing career, and it was just an awesome, like, I'm still high off the gig, and that's 6 years ago. So, I mean, if Mike Tyson can land a liver punch, I mean, we've never really seen Jake Paul get hit. Because listen, whether you like Jake Paul or not, he's very smart in terms of his matchups. Hey, I'll fight Ben Askren, but guess what, Ben? You're an all-American wrestler. We can't wrestle. We're gonna box. Same thing with Woodley. Woodley was a world-class wrestler. Hey, Woodley, we're gonna fight, and you're not really a great MMA striker, so you're probably gonna be an even worse boxing striker. Guess what? We can't wrestle. I mean, the guy's fucking pretty smart with how he limits what his opponents can do. Uh, so, Well, I'm not really a conservative comedian, to be honest with you. I'm literally in the middle, and I really mean that. I don't think either party is good. I mean, just something I saw the other day, MSNBC was kind of making fun of Trump because he was at some rally and he's stuttering and stammering around. And then you turn on Fox and they've got Biden stuttering and stammering around. And they're each criticizing the other networks for, lowbrow journalism. But you guys literally just basically have the same segment with both candidates. So, I do think it's hypocritical. And no, I have not hung out um, with Michael Rappaport. I got nothing against him. He's a guy who cut the line in comedy, but listen, that's business. Jeremy Piven cut the line. Schaub cut the line. Um, Stormy Daniels cut the line. It's perfect karma for my cousin RFK Jr. not having me on his comedy show. Fuck him. All right, the Arizona Cardinals are up next, round one, draft pick 4. We still have the Steelers going at number 20, unless they make that trade with the no, I'm sorry, the San Francisco 49ers for Ayuk. I think that's how you say his name. Pretty packed, the draft in Detroit. Rappaport used to do the coolest store, I thought. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, he has a style, the rants on online that worked. I mean, the guy works hard. I'll give him that. I mean, of course, I don't like Rappaport used to do. I mean, he probably did the paid promoter shows. He's not passed at the Comedy Store. Dane Cook isn't passed at the Comedy Store. So, you know, there's a lot of big name comics who aren't passed at the Comedy Store. It doesn't mean they necessarily can't. Jeremy Piven's not passed at the store. Um, so you've got, um, that's why the Comedy Store to me stands out, because they're like, hey, we don't care if you're famous or not. If you're not the style of comedy we like, we're not going to pass you. Hit the like button. We're going to go 5 more minutes, guys. We'll go to the 42-minute mark. And when the 42-minute mark happens, I hit end stream. John Little was passed at the Comedy Store and is passed at the Comedy Store. That I don't know about, Daniel M. Rappaport was doing it with well, I mean, like Tripoli has these shows called what is it, Chaos? And so like guys like Eddie Bravo are on them. Eddie Bravo's not passed at the Comedy Store. Um, so Schaub isn't passed at the Comedy Store. So there's a lot of people who aren't passed. I mean, it's you walk in there and you see all the names on the wall, and you think every comic in the world is passed at the store, but the amount of names on the wall at the Comedy Store is probably about 1% of the number of working stand-up comics. It's like getting your name on the Stanley Cup. If you ever see the Stanley Cup in person, and I have, it looks like there's 1,000 names on the cup. But, when you consider, I don't know how many players have played in the NHL, whether it's one game or 20 years, but I'll guess it's into the hundreds of thousands, in the 75 or 100 years of the league. And there's maybe a couple hundred names on the cup, it puts it into perspective. Now, Piven did acting to get into comedy. Well, that's actually after he got Me Too'd out of Hollywood. I don't know why people always pick comedy to, if you are Me Too'd or you're an MMA fighter or, Sami Zayn is a pro wrestler. He's on the Netflix as a joke comedy festival. I couldn't even get them to return an email. And I know the 2 guys running the festival. So I don't know why everyone gets into stand-up. If you do it for the right reasons, it's the hardest craft in the world. because you can be in a shitty band and blame the drummer. If you're a shitty comic, you can't blame the curtain behind you. But it's the business. I mean, Jeremy Piven, he just headlined, I think, the Melbourne Comedy Festival. I don't really worry about it anymore. It used to bother me, to be honest, but now I just concentrate on being the funniest person in every fucking lineup I'm on. And of course, it doesn't work out that way every time, but I think my reputation as an actual comedian is uh, pretty good. I mean, I'm what you call uh, a comic's comic. Well, Ray DeVito's never seen my comedy before, so I don't really care what he thinks about my comedy. But DJ, I think you're trolling me. Uh, oh, I see. I don't know about that, Cold C. I don't keep up with other comics' drama. I got my own drama. Okay, we got a minute and a half, guys. Then I have to go to yoga. So hit the like button. Thank you, chat cats, for tuning in. No, I don't want to be on the festival anymore. I mean, literally, when Sami Zayn, a pro wrestler who's never done stand-up comedy, is on a comedy festival, I'm out. And I was never in the first place, to be frank. Uh, so I mean, it's like if you went up to Sami Zayn and said, "Hey, this guy Earl Skakel, he's never wrestled before. He's getting your spot at WrestleMania." He'd feel the same way I feel. I don't know Sami Zayn, so it's not personal. Shout out to Will Ospreay for. Hey, let's someone take a screenshot of this. Hold on, there we go. Hold on. Kip Smith, take a screenshot of this. And Colt C posted a clip of what? Um, I don't know what you're talking about, Colt C. So, oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, thank you, Kip Smith. All right, we're at the 42-minute mark. I lied. We'll do one more minute since I missed the Jesus. Thank God I'm not on Venmo. Uh yeah, I mean, I think My Lost Interest posted a clip of me like 30 seconds after I did a stream, and I'm like, man, that guy's good. 30 seconds left, guys. So if you got any last second questions, get them in now. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock at pick number 5. Yes, the Earlverse bonus minute. 20 seconds left, guys. The button is on end stream. So we're at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.